In part A of this lab, we will compare the heat capacity of water as a proxy for the ocean and sand as a proxy for land, using temperature changes through time in response to a similar heat input from lamps as a proxy for the sun. We'll make observations for two experiments, one that's meant to represent how energy or heat is absorbed at the equator, and one that represents the same effects but at the poles. We'll monitor each station during a warm-up interval, recording temperature increases in water and sand, and then during a cool-down interval, we'll record temperature decreases in water and sand after the lamps have been turned off. Our initial recording will be the room temperature of water and sand, and these should be the same for both stations. Then we'll turn on our lamps and start our timer. We'll return every 5 minutes to record the water and sand temperatures for each station. After 15 minutes, we'll record the water and sand temperatures and then turn off the lamps. And then again, we'll return every 5 minutes to record temperatures for each station until 40 minutes have elapsed. These data should be recorded in Table 1 of your lab. Make sure to have your lab and a pencil ready. This is the setup for Station 1. It's meant to mimic the effects of solar radiation or heat at the equator on both water and sand. Notice our heat lamps, which are meant to represent the sun in this experiment, are pointed directly at the water and at the sand. Also, the thermometers are submerged into the water and sand so that just the tip is covered. Our initial readings are at 21 degrees C. I'm going to turn on the lamps and start a timer now. At the 5-minute mark, the water is at 28 degrees C and the sand is at 30 degrees C. After 10 minutes, the water temperature is at 32 degrees C and the sand temperature is at 36 degrees C. After 15 minutes, the water temperature is at 36.5 degrees C and the sand temperature is at 41.5 degrees C. Okay, so notice we're at 20 minutes now and the lamps are off. Turned them off after we took that reading for 15 minutes. And the water temperature is at 35 degrees C and the sand temperature is at 38.5. After 25 minutes, the water temperature is at 33 degrees C and the sand temperature is 35 degrees C. At the 30-minute mark, the water temperature is at 31 degrees C and the sand temperature is at 33 degrees C. After 35 minutes, the water temperature is at 30 degrees C and the sand temperature is at 31 degrees C. All right, this is our last reading for the equatorial setup, and at 40 minutes, the water is at 30 degrees C and the sand is at 30 degrees C. This is the setup for Station 2, the polar regions. Notice that the lamps are no longer pointed directly at the sand or water, but rather just straight down. And the initial temperatures of the sand and water are 21 degrees C. I'm going to turn on the lamps and start a timer. The 5-minute mark, the temperature of the water is 22.5 degrees and the sand is 23 degrees. At 10 minutes, the water is just about 24 degrees and the sand is 24 24.75 degrees. At 15 minutes, the water is at 25 degrees C and the sand is at 26 degrees C. I'm now going to turn the lamps off. At 20 minutes, the water temperature is 24.5 degrees C and the sand temperature is 25.5 degrees C. At 25 minutes, the water is at 24 degrees C and the sand is at 25 degrees C. After 30 minutes, the water is still at 24 degrees C and the sand at 25 degrees C. At 35 minutes, the water temperature is at 23.75 degrees C and the sand temperature is at 24.75 degrees C. Our last reading after 40 minutes, the water is at 23.75 degrees C and the sand is at 24.5 degrees C.